All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The Dallas Cowboys continue to talk, but they are still unable to walk the walk. At 5-2, the Cowboys strolled into Philadelphia to take on the Eagles today as they were looking to close the gap in the NFC East on the defending NFC champions. The Cowboys showed that they could hang with the Eagles, which was evident by the fact that Dallas was up 17 to 14 at the intermission. But this game came down to a couple of key plays that the Cowboys could not make, along with the play calling of their head coach Mike McCarthy and the execution of their starting quarterback Dak Prescott. Now, the Eagles, to start the third quarter, they came out like gangbusters. They scored that touchdown right away to reclaim the lead. They dominated the third quarter as they outscored Dallas 14 to nothing. And that was a big difference in this contest. And then, like I said, the Cowboys missed opportunities. And before I get into those, I'll say this: Dak Prescott played good. He didn't play great, but he played good. And he played good enough to keep Dallas in the game, but he didn't make those key plays that Dallas needed in order to win the game. And that's that same old song that we're hearing from Dak when it comes to playing against the elite teams in the NFL. Today, Dak was 29 of 44 passing for 374 with three touchdowns, no picks, and he was also sacked five times. But there were so many missed plays in those key moments for Dak and the Dallas Cowboys. You go back to the beginning of the fourth quarter when Dallas was down 28 to 17. They were right on the touchdown door, went for it on fourth down. Initially, it was called a touchdown on the field, but you could see that the tight end, by the time that the ball crossed the plane, his knee was already down short of the goal line. That's a scenario where a quarterback has got to give his guy an opportunity to get into the end zone, and then the tight end himself has to do a better job of getting into the end zone before he caught that pass, because we know in those situations there's going to be tight coverage. Dallas getting the football back after their defense stopped Philly on the three and out, made them punt. And then you go down there and score the touchdown to make it 28 to 23. Dak running out of bounds, or stepping out of bounds rather, just prior to getting the football across the goal line for the 2-point conversion. And that was big, because had you have gotten the score to 28 to 25, now you're in a position to kick a field goal to go out there and tie the game and send it to overtime. But you needed a touchdown. And of course, those yards came up big. And then, of course, on that final drive where Dallas had an opportunity to win the game, they were aided by some Philadelphia penalties to begin that drive, the big pass interference penalty, several other penalties. And before you knew it, Dallas was inside the 5 yard line, but then they self destructed on their own. And before you knew it, for that final game winning potential play, instead of you being third and short or second and short or something like that, it was third and forever. And, there's not a lot of plays in the playbook for third and 26, but still, even with that, and the Eagles, they weren't bringing that much pressure. They were dropping guys. And even, if you go back and look at the play before, as soon as Dallas broke the huddle, Philly had about 4 or 5 guys at the goal line already. But if you're Dak Prescott, you have to give your receivers an opportunity. You can't throw the ball short of the goal line. CD Lamb, who had a big game, catching it at the 2 yard line, really isn't going to make much of a difference in that situation, unless he's going to be able to break multiple tackles. And obviously, that was not the case, as the Dallas Cowboys once again fell short in these key moments. You think about it. I mean, CD Lamb, he balled out. 11 catches for a buck 91. But of course, it's those 2 yards that Dallas needed to go out there and win this contest. And for me, the Cowboys have shown that they can hang with the Eagles, but they've got to find a way to make those key plays in order to get over the hump. Not just against the Eagles, but also against the elite teams around the National Football League. We know this coming. We knew this coming into the season. We still know it right now, that if you're going to get out of the NFC, if you're the Dallas Cowboys and get to the Super Bowl, you got to go through Philadelphia and San Francisco. And right now for this season, Dallas is 0-2 against the heavyweights of the league. And of course, uh, this loss right here for Dallas is even bigger because Philadelphia is now 8-1. They have the best record in the National Football League. And I've said it off the cuff before, and I'll say it now. The Eagles are 8-1, and it's scary because Philadelphia has not played great, in my opinion. But they have gone out there and they've continued to win. They've made the key plays when they matter the most. And I think at some point, Philadelphia is going to catch stride. And if that's the case, it's going to be scary, not just for the Cowboys, but for the rest of football. But getting back to the Cowboys, you're 5-3 now. Philadelphia is 8-1. You have a real uphill battle ahead of you if you're going to catch Philadelphia for the division, which means that more than likely you're going to be a wild card team once again this year, which means you're going to be playing in the first week, you're going to be on the road, and then you have to go through that gauntlet if you want to try to find a way to get to the Super Bowl. And honestly, it ain't going to happen. You look at the Cowboys, and I've said this before, and I will say it again, one of the most talented teams in the National Football League, but they have too many question marks at the quarterback position, too many question marks at the head coaching position. And those are the two most important positions on the football field. Dallas has a solid defense. Dallas can run the football. Wasn't effective today. You have one of the top wide receivers in the NFL in CD Lamb. Too many questions about Dak. Yes, he did not turn the football over today, but he still missed some key opportunities. And of course, I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to run with the fact that Dallas came up short on that 3rd and long to end the game. Why are you throwing the ball short of the end zone in that scenario? But it's just one of those things. These situations consistently find a way to find the Dallas Cowboys. And it doesn't matter if it's Dak Prescott at quarterback. It doesn't matter if it's Tony Romo. It doesn't matter if it's CD Lamb at wide receiver or Des Bryant. It doesn't matter, okay, if it's Mike McCarthy as the head coach or Jason Garrett. The bottom line is the Cowboys consistently find themselves in these situations. Okay. It's not an aberration, if you will, that it's been since 1995 since they won their last Super Bowl and counting. And I'll tell you like this, it's going to be very, very hard at this point for Dallas to go out there and end that drought this year. Why? Because now you've got to find a way to do it on the road. You've got to find a way to do it against both Philadelphia and San Francisco come postseason. You got to find a way to deal with those defenses. And Dak has to go out there and play a perfect and flawless game for 60 minutes. And he is not the guy to do that. So for Dallas, they're going to have their opportunity to get back on track next week when they host the New York Giants. And of course, the New York Giants are a recipe for disaster right now for so many different reasons. And Dallas has shown that they do their part as far as beating up on the bad football teams. But aside from that, Dallas still has, some tough games ahead of them. They got the rematch with Philly when they host them on Sunday Night Football in week number 14. You've got Buffalo and Miami back to back on the road in weeks number 15 and 16. Those could be some tough games. And then two games rather, against the Washington Commanders. And what we've seen over the years, especially with Ron Rivera as the head coach of the Commanders, they can be a thorn in the side of the Cowboys at times. So my point is, I think Dallas has what it takes to make the playoffs, but it's a very uphill battle for them if you're going to talk about winning the NFC East and getting a home game. Today's game is critical for that, and they couldn't close that gap because obviously 6-2 if you're Dallas, and then 7-2 for Philadelphia sounds a lot better than you being 5-3, and of course Philadelphia being 8-1 right now. So at the end of the day, it's the same old song for the Dallas Cowboys, the same old song for Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. They consistently find ways to come up short in these situations, and this is why the Cowboys continue to struggle against the elite teams in the NFL. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.